Hello, good evening. We are fresh off of a brilliant week of wrestling for one company, but I'm not really here to talk about the other one. So, yeah. Tonight was obviously Rampage. The show kicks off with Hook versus All Ego Ethan Page in a very fun FTW rules match, which is basically just your standard no DQ match. It was fun, albeit very predictable winner, which is to be expected. Hook is an interesting character to say like anything positive about him. I really like him, but he's just kind of not in a situation where he can really sink his teeth in, and that's just because they haven't really given him people who like feel like someone who could take that title off of him, even though it's a meaningless title. Then we go to the JAS and Acclaimed versus a group of jobbers. I don't remember their names. I think Carly Bravo was in there, but I don't know. The JAS and Acclaimed win, and then after the match, the JAS turn on the Acclaimed, but it's not a real turn because like you expected it anyways. Then we have a QTV segment. And I might be a little wrong with the order because this like just happened, so I don't really remember the order. And there was 2 hours of wrestling, so I don't remember the order. But I digress. There's a QTV segment where they're hyping up Powerhouse Hobbs versus and QT Marshall versus Marshall versus the Lucha Bros. And it was that's later on. I'll talk about that later. But the segment was very entertaining. I forgot who it was. Someone tells QT Marshall to break a leg, and he says he's not Dante Martin, and I couldn't stop laughing because like that's really messed up, but it's funny. They show off some sort of new car that Wardlow's credit card or whatever bought Powerhouse Hobbs because they broke into the car. After that, we have Lee Moriarty versus Darby Allin in a very fun match that the live crowd was just not into. And that's very unfortunate because I enjoyed it a great deal. Before that match, though, we had Swerve come on and say, I'm a businessman and mergers are a part of business and I've just merged. And my heart was like, oh, he's merging with Bullet Club. This is going to be so sick. Or like, oh, he's merging with the firm. That's sick. Like, I didn't expect the embassy. I'm interested to see where that goes. But, yeah. So after the match, it's revealed that it's the embassy and Darby gets attacked by Brian Cage, and Swerve just kind of looks over him, which leads into them announcing Darby versus Swerve for Dynamite. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to cover that and talk about it. Taya Valkyrie and Jade Cargill have a very, blink and you'll miss it segment featuring RJ City, which always good to see RJ City get some TV time. I love Hey EW. It was very silly. After that, we go to the main event. Anna JAS versus Julia Hart. A match that took its time really finding its footing and really couldn't, and that's unfortunate. Julia Hart looked really good. Like, she looked like the star out of the two. And she wins the match, rightfully so. And that concludes Rampage. Woo! Now, into Battle of the Belt 6, which is only 3 matches. I've got them written down, spaced out. So, for Battle of the Belt 6, kicking off the show, we have Dralistico versus Orange Cassidy for the International Championship. Very fun match. At times, I thought Dralistico might win, just to mix things up, because I personally have not been the biggest fan of Orange Cassidy with this title, because the whole point of the title was to go and do stuff outside of the US. Like Pac, when Pac had the title, he was actually Or not Pac. Pac. Yeah, Pac. When Pac had the title, it's been so long since he's been on TV. When he had the title, he was like doing stuff with Rev Pro, and that was cool. And I wish Orange Cassidy would be doing that, but he's not. But I'm lingering a little bit. It was a very fun match. Orange Cassidy wins. After the match, lights go out. House of Black's on the Tron, and I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, Malachi Black's going to challenge for the title. But no! No. It's Buddy Matthews, and I love Buddy Matthews, so I think him and Orange Cassidy will have a good match next week. Then we go to a match I expected to be at least entertaining, but I didn't expect it to be going away from it saying it was the best Jade Cargill match I had ever seen. Because I'm not the biggest Jade Cargill fan, but I'm a very big Billie Starkz fan. Like, I've loved her stuff in GCW and Black Label Pro and stuff like that. She's just very good. And at times during this match, I was like people bring up a good example of like getting behind the underdog even though you know the underdog isn't going to win. Like, for example, Mox versus Darby from like the first year of Dynamite. People enjoyed that match so much and call it a star-making performance because they thought, like, there were people who genuinely thought Darby was going to win. That's how I felt watching this Billie Starkz and Jade Cargill match, was that it felt like Jade made Billie look even better, which, like, Billie Starkz is an excellent wrestler anyways. Doesn't matter who you put her in the ring with. But her just being on national TV made her look like that much more of a star, and her performance was just very top-notch, and it's so impressive for an 18-year-old. But that's enough about that match. After the match, Jade Cargill is like celebrating. She's like, "Whoa, I'm 55-0." And then Taya Valkyrie comes out. Taya Valkyrie tries to hit Road to Valhalla, and Jade rolls out of the ring. And then we go to our next segment. Mark Briscoe is talking about how he's like not upset about losing to Samoa Joe, which that's interesting. I'm very like I like that feud, and I don't want it to end. So yeah, because they had a really good match. So I don't know. Jay Lethal strolls in, and he's like, we've known each other for 20 years. Why don't we team up? And Mark's like, okay, yeah, we'll team up. They shake hands, and then the rest of the Jeff Jarrett goons, because they don't have a name. The Jarrett family. There you go. No, that seems in bad taste. I don't know. Some sort of name. Jeff Jarrett and Associates. There we go. They all stroll in. Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh. They all stroll in, and they all like buddy up behind Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're all good friends now." And Jeff Jarrett's like, "It's good to have strength in numbers in AEW." After that, we go to our main event of the show, Lucha Bros, which I spelt in my notes with 2 U's. Lucha Bros versus QT Marshall and Powerhouse Hobbs in a surprisingly fun match. I love the Lucha Bros, and I'm a very big Powerhouse Hobbs guy. And QT Marshall is like, he's whatever. But I was genuinely like, I enjoyed this match. There's a lot of fun spots. It took a little bit to get to where it needed to get to, but when it got to where it needed to get, it was just very fun. There was no point in time during the match where I thought there was going to be a title change. I mean, there was a lot of cheating, and I'm a big fan of heel tactics in professional wrestling, so that was pretty funny stuff. Lucha Bros pick up the win with they win in a very similar fashion to the way FTR wins, where it's like a sunset flip, roll up, 1, 2, 3. So that's cool. I like that. And then, just so I'm... So I am currently, what I'm doing to like let y'all know, because I wasn't super prepared. I just had my list, but I wanted to go a little bit over what I was planning to do and break down the card for next week. It's so time to go to their Twitter. Woo! And I know this seems very unprofessional, but whatever. I plan to cover Sakura Genesis, so I'm going to be staying up a little longer here tonight to watch that. I like that when you type in AEW Dynamite in Twitter, the first thing that pops up is ratings. So, on the show next week, we have Orange Cassidy versus Buddy Matthews for the AEW International Championship. Should be a very fun match. Orange Cassidy works really well with like serious cruiserweights, I suppose. We got Mox and Claudio versus Brendan Cutler and Michael Nakazawa, which I think is going to be really funny. Darby versus Swerve and Keith Lee versus Jericho. Those are the matches so far announced. And with that, I am done. I must bid you adieu. So to quote Ian Riccaboni, happy wrestling, everyone. And to quote the cleaner, Kenny Omega, goodbye and good night, bang.